Hi, I'm someone who's really bad at Elden Ring, and I wanted to share the tactics and strategy that I use that make beating the Divine Dancing Camera Beast easy if you're terrible at this game like I am. This will be an example where I use my bad at Elden Ring build and the Boss Arena mod to beat the Dancing Beast 5 times in a row without dying, just to demonstrate that the tactics are repeatable. And if you use lock-on like I do, the camera is awful in this fight. But aside from that, it's really not too bad as long as you ignore a trap like summoning the NPC, who, at least in my opinion, makes this fight substantially harder and makes the boss a lot spongier. And this is a bit of a reactionary fight where the tactics depend on what he does, so I either use Prayerful Strike if he's up close, or Frenzied Burst if he's far away. So I'm using a level 150 version of the bad at Elden Ring build here, very similar to what I used to beat Rolana. The only differences are I have Frenzied Burst added into the spell list, and I have Black Flame's Protection in there as my body buff. The beast is fairly resistant to holy damage, so in the main hand Great Stars we have Prayerful Strike, but we have the heavy infusion instead of the normal sacred. The offhand Great Stars then has Wild Strikes with the cold infusion. I'm not going to be attacking much with that, but the Mimic Tear will hit with that, along with the stack of Frozen Pots down in the equipment slot. Again, I'm not using those, just the Mimic Tear. And then in the 4th Talisman slot, we have the Shard of Alexander to boost Prayerful Strike damage. In the Flask of Wondrous Physic, I have the Opaline Heart Tear in the 1st slot, and the Flame Shroud and Crack Tear in the 2nd slot for Frenzied Burst damage. You can do like the stance damage one too if you want. Pretty negotiable on that second one here. So outside the Fog Gate, we're going to ignore the NPC summon sign. Freya's not that good in this fight unless you want it for the lore. I recommend skipping her. I'm going to start off using a Rune Arc to activate Radahn's Great Rune, then we're going to cast Blessing of the Erdtree, Black Flame's Protection, and Golden Vow. Then we're going to drink a blue flask, drink our Physic Flask, make sure both Great Stars are equipped, try to get Black Blade in the spell slot if you can too, then step through the Fog Wall. Lock onto the beast. I usually take a tiny step forward, summon the Mimic Tear, and drink a red flask. Then I swap to the Godslayer Great Seal in the offhand and the Black Knife in the main hand, and wait for the Mimic Tear to grab aggro. Once he does, I'm going to attack with Blade of Death from the Black Knife and Black Blade Incantation to debuff the beast's max health. After hitting with those, I'm going to equip the main hand Great Stars and then get Frenzied Burst readied as my ranged attack. And at this point, it's essentially reacting to what the beast does. If it's close to you, hit it with Prayerful Strike. If it's far away, hit it with Frenzied Burst. When he rises up into the air to do a phase change, I recommend drinking a blue flask. It's just a good window to do that. If you do get a stance break and you're not trapped against the wall like I am here, you can either try to go for a crit or build up some status effect build up with Wild Strikes on the offhand. You probably won't need to red flask too much if you're hitting with Prayerful Strike, but if it's been a while since you connected with one, drink a red flask if you need to. But if he stays close, bonk with Prayerful Strike. If he's far away, snipe him with Frenzied Burst. So in this first attempt here, he stays pretty close, so I pretty much only use Prayerful Strike here. In some of the later attempts, you'll see I do use Frenzied Burst a fair amount if he's staying far away during that second phase. But that's about it. It's a bonker blast sort of fight, depending upon what he does. Feel free to continue watching a few more iterations of this if you want to see what it looks like when you need to use Frenzied Burst or something like that. But aside from that, I hope this was helpful if he was someone who's giving you a little bit of trouble. Avoid using Freya, and Prayerful Strike and Frenzied Burst are both very good against him. Alright, thanks for watching.